It's August 1st, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Welcome to thousands of new subscribers. I appreciate that. It builds this weather community, really builds our weather community in the sense of the comment section where we could put our weather and location, what we've got going on where we are to help each other out. Now, with that said, we've got a big system headed our way as we work our way deep into the weekend and really early next week. In this video, the timing of it, the speed of it, I want to go over the winds and some new information with some of the rain outlook. We'll get into the waves, some more specifics versus yesterday's video as we get to fine-tune things together. And what's going to be key about this is when it really starts to strengthen, that'll dictate who gets some of the bigger impacts. We'll cover all of that. Now, here we are in Europe. It's actually this area here coming out of New England and the mid-Atlantic of the United States. That's going to work across and really tighten up, really strengthen, if you will, as it heads our way. Now, with that said, we are in monitor mode. So it's not a big action mode, just in monitor mode. In a situation like this, with a big system coming in, we've had these before, but it's good to spread the word, especially this time of year, that we've got a pretty big wind maker that's going to be headed our way, right? So as we get across the UK, back through Ireland, watching over toward the Netherlands, Denmark, even parts of Belgium, also north of Denmark, as we get back toward Norway, Sweden, Finland, we're going to have some stronger winds. So all of us are in kind of that monitor mode where we just need some extra awareness. So I appreciate you sharing this information with others. Strong winds are coming. Power outages will be possible. Some wind damage. We could have some trees down in spots. Gust on the high side could be around 70 miles per hour, 110 kilometers an hour. So we are going to get some of those gusts, especially as we work our way back through the North Sea. I'll highlight that in just a second. Now let me start with the big picture. I want to get right into it. Your time is valuable. So we have one system moving toward Iceland. That is not the bigger one. The bigger one's over here, as I mentioned, pulling out of the Atlantic region of Canada and parts of New England and the mid-Atlantic of the United States. That's what works across as we work our way into Sunday. Now, as far as the timing goes, it looks like much of the weekend is okay across the UK and Ireland. By Sunday night, that's when this area moves in. And then late on Sunday and Sunday night, that's when it will really start to strengthen. How quickly it strengthens will dictate how much wind, of course, and even how much rain we get. And you can see this big spin right here. This would be by Monday, shooting across the UK, sliding its way toward Norway, Denmark. Gusty winds on the backside. In this video, I want to zoom down and get as specific as I can for you with some of the impacts from this system. Then by the time we get into Tuesday, you can see this area sliding over toward Stockholm. So moving back toward Stockholm and Helsinki. Watching out even for some storms dipping down toward parts of Germany, especially northern Germany. We're going to get some gusty winds sliding over toward Poland, and then a second system moving in. A lot of times with the weather, you get stuck in a pattern for a good 2 to 3 weeks. That's what looks to be happening here. We could have one system here, and I've been looking really long term as well. There could be another system that does eventually sweep in. So an active pattern across northern Europe. Southern Europe, we're looking at for even hotter weather as we work our way into next week. Now here's the European model. So this here, let's take you out in time here. This here is by Sunday. It's a little bit slower. You can see the rain here building. This is as we work our way into Sunday afternoon. So here's Ireland. You get across the UK, you get over toward France, Portugal, Spain right here, just to orient you. So it's a touch slower, but overall, both of the bigger models, the American and the European, are very much in line with this system for the most part. And then you can see the system winding up, getting stronger as we work our way into early on Monday, even midday on Monday. So conditions go downhill, parts of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, Sunday night into early Monday with those strong winds wrapping around it. And I'll cover those winds in a moment. So here's the system. Of course, the core of it, where that passes, that's where we could get some of that wind damage. That will be a possibility. Watching that over towards Scotland, this could pass right overhead the center of this area. And then out ahead of it, don't want to lose sight, we're going to have some really strong storms too in some spots the next few days. We'll cover that later in this video. But then as we work our way into Tuesday, the spin works its way across over toward Oslo. You can see the spin here. So Norway back into Sweden, then eventually Finland. And then on the backside, as this kind of it gets a little bit sprawly especially a little bit bigger, those strong winds kind of piling up across the North Sea. That's especially when we could get some of those winds gusting 105 to about 115 kilometers an hour in some spots, especially in the open waters of the North Sea. And then swinging back into Wednesday, you could see this continues to move its way off toward Finland. And then right here, here's that other system. That second system does, as of now, look to be a little bit weaker, but it looks to follow right on its heels as we work our way, especially into Wednesday night and Thursday, moving across the British Isles. So busy pattern, right? We've got that coming. Now let's start to zoom down and fine tune this for you best I can. This here is on Sunday, right? Much of Sunday's okay, but conditions will start to get windier, and then Sunday night, Monday morning, that's when the heaviest weather will start to work in across the UK, back through Ireland. This is Monday morning. The center of this could spin right over Scotland. Now, some areas need to get some rain. This one is going to be a fast mover, and two, some spots are just simply not going to get a whole lot. So southern sections, while we are going to get some rain, and definitely some wind, right? Most of it could be just to the north, and you know how that goes. Sometimes these systems can be teasers. Of course, on the flip side, it is very good not to get any of that wind damage, no doubt. And then as we pull forward deeper into Monday, this slides across, still on the back side. We're going to have, even as the rain pushes off, some strong winds, but watching the Netherlands, northern Germany, and then right up through Denmark as we get deeper into Monday, we'll see some of that heavier weather. And then by Tuesday, this continues to slide its way off to the east. I want to zoom out in time for some of our northern sections in a moment, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and cover that more. But then as we work our way into Wednesday, we'll keep an eye on for that next system moving in. Now, let's get to the winds, and then I want to zoom down to different spots and cover the rain totals as well. Let's just start big picture as we try to find this. This first spin here's Greenland and Iceland. That first spin, that's not the one. It's this area here, and it takes a little while to develop. You see the curl there. That's why if it's slower to develop, that means less wind impacts across the British Isles. But either way, both the American and the European model do have this spinning up just as it moves in, strengthening just as it moves in. As we work our way in through the day Monday, you see those stronger winds, and I'll highlight that in a second. Right in through here on Monday, across the British Isles, but sliding off toward the east rather quickly. So Norway, Sweden, Germany, Poland, Denmark, some heavier weather that will be moving in. Yes, some of the rain, but the winds a big concern. Power outages are going to be possible in many locations, so being mindful of that. Then as we work our way into Wednesday, one system leaves. Here comes that next system, maybe not quite as strong, but watching one moving in. And then as I mentioned, long term, there could be another one building that will be moving in. So yes, a heads up on the active pattern. So thank you for sharing this information to get that out. We've got some weather that's going to be headed our way. Now here's a zoom down look at some of the winds. So here's Ireland, for example. This is later on Sunday. You can see your time frame, top right hand corner of your screen, kilometers an hour and miles per hour. Doing my best to keep everyone covered. As we work our way into Monday morning, you see some of the winds, some of that white shading showing up. There are some of the gusts to about 50 miles per hour. Now with that said, the modeling sometimes, these are models, right? They miss out on some stuff once you get systems crossing land. But nonetheless, we could get some gusts to about 50. But then you see this area of low pressure as it works its way toward Norway. By the time we get into Monday afternoon, strong winds sweeping back behind it. We're going to have that big fetch coming in off the Atlantic. But at this point, late Monday night, as this moves across, we're going to get some really strong winds across the North Sea. See some of those reds popping up? So we're talking winds of 110 kilometers an hour, some of the gusts to about 70 miles per hour. That's going to persist late Monday all the way into Tuesday night. So southern Norway, watching over toward Denmark in particular for very strong winds. And then throughout the day on Tuesday, still that core of some of the winds, even getting into southern Sweden. In northern Germany, we'll have some gusty winds too. Keeping an eye on Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Winds are going to pick up deeper into Tuesday, right? Some of those stronger winds will pick up. But as a whole, those gusts around 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles per hour. But some embedded spots, though, especially closer to the water, with those kind of open seas, that's where we could get some gusts of 110 kilometers an hour or 70 miles per hour. Now, looking at the rain, generally a fast mover, but this is a 6-day rain total. So it's taken into account some of the showers and storms for some of us the next couple of days, but I want to take you in time all the way through next Wednesday. And you could see here just what I was talking about. You get over toward London, for example, Falmouth, Plymouth, Manchester, maybe not a lot of rain. Then you swing back toward Edinburgh North. That's where we could have some heavier rain, or at least some higher totals right in through here and parts of Northern Ireland, and then back through Ireland, where we could get some spots of 75 millimeters of rain. But with that said, since it is a fast mover, the overall rain total shouldn't be too high. But as this system slows a little bit by Norway, Sweden, even back through parts of Denmark, we could get some totals for multi-day totals of 100 millimeters plus. So yes, we're going to get some substantial rain, but just overall not as much as a kind of a slow mover would bring us. But it's going to be this pocket here, southern zones. We're going to be dry, more of a heat wave scenario as we work our way into next week. And this in through here, which I'll highlight in a moment, parts of Austria, Italy, Czechia, seeing some of those heavier storms. We'll cover that in just a moment. Now, I want to cover some of the wave heights as well. As we get closer, I could really start to fine tune some of this. This here is as we work our way deeper into a Sunday, just to give you a feel. So I'll give you that time frame. This is deeper into Sunday, and you see kind of the offshore waters running at about 4 meters. But as we work our way into Sunday night and Monday, you could see here everything building as far as the seas go closer to land. So looking at about 4.5 meters in some spots. And then again, as we get into some of our more interior waterways, looking at about 3+ meters, maybe 3-4 meters. That will be a possibility just as this moves in. Again, this here is Sunday night into early on Monday. Then as we work deeper out in time, as we work our way into Monday and everything kind of works its way across back through the North Sea, those are some of the concerns here. This here is by Monday, and you see all these brighter colors showing up still on the back side of it, running at about 4 meters, watching near Scotland, Northern Ireland, Ireland. You can see Ireland, we're going to have those higher seas for days. But as we work our way back through the North Sea, 5 pushing 6 meters, especially in some of those open waters, monitoring a little bit of a surge in some spots, but the winds will be changing direction pretty quickly. That may help out with any surge issues just because of the speed of the system. And then as we work our way forward into Tuesday, you can see here as we get deeper into the time frame of the system, here's Norway, Sweden. We're looking at some of those wave heights running at about 3.5 to about 4 meters in some spots. So that gives you kind of the progression of this. So the timing, Sunday night into Wednesday, right, working across and moving rather quickly. The location, of course, Northern Europe. I mentioned Southern Europe getting thunderstorms. We're going to be getting some extreme heat in some spots. Portugal, Spain, France, as we work our way into next week with all of this to the north. Now, power loss will be a possibility with this, with some gusty winds as this moves all the way across Northern Europe. So giving you the heads up, we're in monitor mode. With that said, you do want to kind of check to see, keep in mind what you would do if you have the power out for a little while. And we need to monitor some tree damage out of this, always mindful of that, especially some of the trees that are closer to homes. And then a second system looks to follow this as we work our way into the middle and end of next week. So a busy pattern. Now, let's go out in time here. I want to back up. This is today, right? Some scattered storms around, watching Estonia, back through Finland, Russia, some scattered storms, watching some of that rain back through the Netherlands, Iceland. Here comes that system that will be moving by with some windy weather and some of that rain. This here is tomorrow, and I'll take you out in time in just a second. This here, seeing some of that extra rain around in some spots. This is all before the bigger system rolls in, right? Now, let's move into Sunday. So here's Sunday. Here comes that next system. Out ahead of it, we're going to have some of the rain still in some spots, watching Norway, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Ukraine will have some of those showers and storms. Poland, Germany, kind of scattered about. But here's that larger system on Monday to give you a feel of this moving in, racing across the British Isles. Heavier rain, heavier winds, Norway, down through Denmark. And then this area of low pressure pivots its way towards Sweden and Finland. And you see some of the rain and even storms on the leading edge of this, all the way down through Poland, as all of this kind of this wind machine kind of wraps up with that additional rain that will be working across. So that gives you a feel of the progression. And there's that fetch coming in off the water, off the North Sea, and that will bring us some of those elevated winds, but also the elevated wave heights as that moves by. All right, covering the next couple of days. Later today, watch out for some of the storms here. Slovakia, near Hungary, Austria, Slovenia, Switzerland, Northern Ireland or northern Italy seeing the rain, scattered kind of spotty storms in Turkey, monitoring that fire threat. And these here, heads up, my friends, in Spain, some of the pop-up storms, while not all of us get them today, they could be quite strong. Barcelona over toward, even lifting up toward Andorra, but more so over toward Valencia. But Austria, Slovenia, Croatia, seeing some of that rain as we work our way into our Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday, spotty as we get toward Bosnia, Serbia, hit or miss, Romania, some isolated showers and storms. There's a batch in Ukraine, very isolated over toward Turkey. Greece, we're mainly dry just north, even as we work our way back through Bulgaria, Kosovo. We could get a couple very isolated showers, just more of that energy to the north. And of course, on Sunday, here comes that big system sweeping across northern Europe. So 3-day rain totals, right? This takes us through the rest of today into Sunday. So 3-day rain totals. We don't have a whole lot in most spots. Some of us, if we get some rain, 10, maybe 25 millimeters of rain. But where we get a couple thunderstorms, that's where we could get a couple spots. You see some of these brighter colors showing up, 75 millimeters to 100 millimeters of some rain, watching parts of Norway, and then swinging into this pocket here, Austria, Slovenia, near Croatia. A couple of the storms may build by northern Italy, watching over towards Switzerland, some heavier weather. And I mentioned the spotty stuff. Bulgaria could see a hit or miss storm in Greece, again, most to the north, but a very slight chance. Montenegro, North Macedonia, Albania, Turkey, though, some spotty showers and storms, hopefully not too much lightning. We don't need any additional fires to start, no doubt. And these are the stronger storms I mentioned here, Barcelona and over toward Valencia, even parts of Andorra and southern France. We may get clipped by a couple stronger storms that could give us a quick 75 millimeters of some rain. So we're waiting on this larger system that moves in for some of us starting on Sunday night. Out ahead of it, scattered storms monitoring the heat in the fire threat, no doubt. The big system arrives, though, Sunday night, sweeping across northern Europe. And as I mentioned, we could have that second system, even a third system back behind it, because we get stuck in some of those weather patterns. And the tropical Atlantic should get more active, especially as we get into mid and late August. We need to keep an eye on if any of those systems that develop kind of work their way up and around for any big wind makers headed our way. So thank you for sharing this information. I'll go through the comments throughout the day. Thank you so much for being part of this weather community, and have a good rest of your day.